Today we're talking about what to expect from a double mastectomy and reconstruction. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I have experienced and learned in the first 2 weeks after having a double mastectomy and reconstruction. I also want to let you know that you can find a lot of details over on my Instagram page. I've been highlighting there every day, kind of talking you through day by day what I've been going through. So if you're going through something similar, go to Instagram, Jessica Valant Pilates, and check out my breast cancer highlight. And you can see day by day some stories I have there. Also, check out my podcast, Meet Your Body. I'll have the link below, and I'll have episodes upcoming with a lot more details as well. 2 months ago, I was diagnosed with stage 0 DCIS breast cancer, and I have another episode all about those details. But because of my diagnosis, my recommendation from surgeons was to have a double mastectomy, and I chose to have reconstruction at the same time. That was done 2 weeks ago. So I'm actually here in real time telling you what my experience has been like. And some of why I'm doing that is just because it's fresh in my mind, and I want to give you, if you're going through the same thing, or if you have a loved one going through the same thing, I want to give you some real time details and kind of some things that I have learned in the past 2 weeks. The first thing to know is that don't believe everything that you see on camera, meaning I had to have my husband help me get dressed to be here. Yesterday was the first day in 2 weeks I was able to shower because I had my drains removed. I actually am wearing these black leggings because they're the only ones loose enough for me to pull on myself. So what I'm saying is I am right in the midst of it. I am exhausted. I am in pain. I wasn't able to really do my hair, but I could shower yesterday, so I washed it, which was a really big thing. But please know that yes, I am in pain. I am tired. My brain is really foggy. I am not working out right now. And like I said, I had a lot of help getting me ready to be on camera for you today. So let's talk a little bit about my experience. So as I mentioned, my experience was having a double mastectomy straight to implant, meaning within the same surgery, I went straight to implant. Now, I'll do other episodes and podcasts about why that was the recommended treatment for me, why it was the chosen treatment for me, and all of those things. But I do want you to know that as I talk in the next few minutes here about what I've experienced, it is around that context. So again, double mastectomy, straight to implant, same surgery. So everything I've experienced is around that. There are so many different surgical procedures out there. You might have a lumpectomy with radiation, maybe a unilateral mastectomy, maybe you're having expanders done, maybe you're having a flap done. Again, so many different things. So it is extremely important that you talk to your own surgeon about what your restrictions and what the procedure will look like after surgery. I'm going to share mine today, and then I'm also going to tell you a few things that I have discovered were really important for me to have to help my recovery after surgery. As I mentioned, I'm actually exactly 2 weeks post-surgery. So I had surgery and I went home that same day. Again, this is just my experience. So I went home that same day. And honestly, I've been a physical therapist for over 23 years. This is my 5th major surgery. So I had a little bit of an idea of what to expect, at least from a surgical standpoint. And please check out my link below. I'm going to have a breast cancer resource guide. I also have a video all about how to prepare for surgery, and that is really, really important if you are looking to have surgery. So I had done all the things on how to prepare for surgery, and I went home with drains. So that's a big thing to understand. If you're having a surgery similar to this, you will have drains that are implanted into the breast or the chest area, and they come out. And I had those for 2 weeks, which is a really average time. I had 1 on each side. You might have 2 on each side. You might have the drains less. You might have the drains longer. But I went home with drains, and I was completely wrapped up, like with saran wrap, and I had a really tight compression post-surgical bra on when I went home. Obviously, this is after major surgery. I was on a lot of medication. I was completely foggy. I can tell you, I don't even remember what I talked to my kids about that night, but I did come home. And I have been at home then for the past 2 weeks, seeing the doctors for follow-up visits. And yesterday at the 2-week mark, I had the drains removed. And that's kind of where I am right now. So just know, I'll tell you what some of my restrictions have been and were. I was not able to do much more than this with my arms. So that's what they call T-Rex arms. And again, that is going to be probably more from the mastectomy, but also from the implant reconstruction piece, not to activate my muscles too much as things healed. So I was able to brush my teeth, feed myself, wipe myself, and that's really about it. And then I started to do, a little bit more things. I could type if I had to answer some emails or do that for any reason whatsoever. That was close to being all I could do. And as I felt a little stronger, I could do a little bit more. But I needed help from my husband to dress myself. I needed help to brush my hair. We have a lovely daughter who would brush my hair and put my hair in a ponytail for me. At about the 5-day mark, I could get into a bath, which felt really nice. I couldn't get the drain sites wet. So for me, I had instructions I could not shower at all for 2 weeks until those drains were out. I know some people are able to. I was not. So I could sit in a bath with really warm water, up to about my belly button. That really felt good. So I ended up doing that most mornings. And then I would get help with lotion and all of that and getting dressed again. It did get easier over those 2 weeks. I ended up finding a pair of my tennis shoes that were my loosest shoes that I could get on myself. I ended up again finding my loosest pair of leggings that I could kind of get on myself or pull on really loose pajama pants. Those things did get easier. But when it comes to being able to move my arms much, I couldn't do a lot. So I had to have help with that. Also for sleeping, I had to sleep upright or on my back. And actually I still have those instructions. I still have to sleep on my back. I don't know when I'll be able to sleep on my side again. So I have to sleep on my back and I am propped up. Now, when I came home, I was completely propped up. I know people who've gotten recliners, who've used couches. So you'll want to find somewhere that you are as comfortable as you can be propped up. I eventually moved back to our bed, but I'm still propped up on pillows to sleep at night. When it comes to movement, most surgeons are going to recommend that you start walking as soon as possible. Gentle movement like walking is really important when it comes to your digestion, constipation, circulation, preventing blood clots, and all of those things. So I do have, and I'm going to tell you about this when I tell you what I think you might need after surgery. I happen to have a walking pad here at home inside. I use that for maybe 10 minutes the first day that I was home, and I built up. My first outdoor walk was about 4 days after surgery with my family. I had help making sure I wasn't going to fall or lose my balance. And at this point, 2 weeks afterwards, I'd say yesterday, I was able to go on a 40-minute walk by myself outside. It felt great. It was also exhausting. I was very slow doing it, but I am walking most days. And again, that's recommended by surgeons, and I'm just building up my endurance little by little. And then finally, let's talk a little bit about pain. And again, this is completely different for everyone. It's really uncomfortable. That's what I can tell you. It is painful. It's uncomfortable. Again, this is my 5th major surgery. And I did tell my husband in the middle of the last 2 weeks, this is so much harder than I thought it would be. And honestly, it's not because I didn't expect it to be hard. I expected it to be hard. I knew it would be painful. I knew a lot of things. I think there's a few things with that. It's a cancer diagnosis. You don't want to discount that. There's a lot of emotion that goes along with that, a lot of fear, a lot of just scary feelings. So I know that was a part of it. And also when you're in the middle of it, it's hard to have perspective. You can have perspective on the front end of a thing, and you can have perspective on the back end of a thing. But when you're in the middle of the thing, it's hard. So I just encourage you to remember it will get better. Remember there's a light at the end of the tunnel, even if you don't see it. So even on those hard days when I was crying and in pain and just frustrated and scared, I I let myself feel that. I highly recommend you let yourself feel those feelings. And also just remember, it will get better. For the pain, yes, a lot of discomfort around the scars. I had nerve sparing surgery. So as my nerves are waking up, I have a lot of nerve pain and a lot of things around that. You have to wear this compressive bra all the time. So just be prepared to be uncomfortable. But I have talked to a lot of women who have said that they didn't experience as much pain as they expected, that they felt great. And so everybody is different. Just make sure that you keep the line of communication open with your doctor so that they can work on your medication and they can do everything they can to keep you as comfortable as possible. And so what my next steps are, again, I'm 2 weeks out. I've seen the plastic surgeon once a week, each week since surgery. I'll continue to do that. And then next week, I also will start my physical therapy, which I highly recommend. Again, I'm a physical therapist and even I need physical therapy. So they typically will help you find an oncology physical therapist who's familiar with this situation. And I start that next week. So I'm hoping to be able to start moving my arms a little bit more, starting to build that strength and starting to get back to function slowly over the next 2 to 3 months. And now I want to tell you a few things that I highly recommend that you have after this type of surgery. The first thing is something to hold your drains. I feel like this isn't talked about a lot, and luckily I had some really good friends and colleagues who had been in this situation who knew that I would need that. You are going to have drains for a couple weeks and they hang down. There's tubes that hang down and you need something to hold them. I had an amazing member who made me a homemade drain holder. It was lovely. It was just a belt that around my waist with felt and some Velcro with 2 little pockets to hold my drains, so I could wear that like under pajamas at night. And then also there's some great hooded sweatshirts, zip-up sweatshirts that have pockets for drain holders. And then there's even pajamas you can buy. So look for that. And also I'm going to have the link in my resource guide. There are some amazing charities out there. Hope Chest is the one that I used and I got a sweatshirt from them. And so if you are looking to support a loved one, that would be a really lovely gift, is a really nice hooded kind of sweatshirt or zip up, something that holds drains, because that is something you will definitely need and want. The next thing is to make sure that you have loose clothing. We are talking loose pants that you can pull up really easily on your own. I also had 2 tank tops that were really loose that I could actually step into and just shimmy up, and then I would wear my hooded sweatshirt over that. I wore it every single day for 2 weeks, and I had 2 tank tops that I would just wash and switch between. So really think loose clothing that's going to be comfortable, but also that you can put on and off yourself. The next thing you might not think about is some kind of cup or like a to-go cup for water with a straw. So I tend to drink water out of heavy glasses that we have here at home. I could not lift that. I actually couldn't lift it to my mouth at first. So I got a really big water cup with a straw, and I would just have my family fill it up for me in the morning, and I'd leave it on the counter and I could just go up to it and use the straw. So it might sound silly, but it actually was a lifesaver for me, and I'm still using it now. So one, I can make sure I'm hydrated. It can just be filled up in the morning. It's 40 ounces, mine is. So I have someone fill it up for me in the morning, and I just leave it somewhere and I drink out of it every single time that I am thirsty, and I make sure it's gone. And then again, I have the straw, so I'm not trying to lift something really cumbersome. It's gotten a little easier for me. I can lift a coffee cup now. I can lift like a juice glass. But again, a cup with a straw is really helpful to start. The next thing is just have some system to write down your medication. So you could be on quite a bit of things: an antibiotic, an anti-inflammatory, pain medication. There are a few things. I think I was on 4 or 5 different things that I had to take at different times during the day, some with food, some without. I just used the notes feature on my phone, but definitely make sure that you're ready to write down what you've taken when during the day, because it will definitely help you keep track of things. Another thing that I recommend, and this is definitely optional and it does have a price point, but I want to put it out there, is a walking pad. It's not as big as a treadmill. It's just a pad that goes on your floor that you can walk on. And I actually got this months ago before my cancer diagnosis. because I wanted to have something that I could use during these cold Colorado winters. I actually ended up having surgery in the middle of January in Colorado, which means walking outside isn't always possible. And I've been so grateful to have this walking pad. I can have a chair right next to it. It's next to the wall, so I have something comfortable for balance. I can walk really slow, but it has allowed me to walk daily since surgery. So I'll have, again, the link in my resource guide for the walking pad that I have. It does have a price point, so I think it's optional. You don't need it, but if it's something that works for you, I highly recommend it. Another thing that you may see out there is called a mastectomy pillow. Now what that is, it's typically, they're kind of long and they'll go around you here and they'll cover your chest, and then they have a place for your arms to rest. So I do have one. I didn't use it as much as I thought I would, but it has been really nice to have. And I've heard from people who especially have dogs or anything like that, that it was really nice to feel a little bit protected on the couch and a little bit more comfortable. So I'll have a link to that, because that can be a really nice resource and something comfortable to have as well. I definitely used mine the first week when I was sleeping on the couch. I put it right here in front of me, and it just helped me feel a little more safe and secure. And then the last thing that I recommend that you have is a person. We are talking someone that you trust implicitly. That person is going to pick you up from the hospital, and they are taught right then and there how to do your drains, because your drains have to be released 3 times a day to start with, and that might go down. But what happens is you have to release the drains, you have to do your drains, you have to measure what's in them, you have to write it down, you have to clean them. Once you're used to it, it's not extremely complicated, but at first it feels that way. And that person is going to do your drains for you. They're going to get you home. They're maybe going to stay with you, maybe not, but you want someone who is going to stand in your corner, help remind you like what medication you're taking when. Have you eaten? What can I do for you? Let me do your drains. Here I am. I'm going to help you get propped up. For me, that person was my husband. He's the person I trust implicitly in life, not only to help, but also, like I said, to be able to really follow directions with the drains, to write things down, to stand in my corner with the doctors, to remember their instructions, because honestly, I remember nothing from that day of surgery because it's so foggy. I have friends who've used their sister, who've used a best friend, but find someone at least in the first few days, and whether they're staying with you or not, but someone who can be kind of on call, who you feel like you don't have to explain yourself to, that you can be in your absolutely worst shape with, that you can cry with, that you don't owe anything to, who is going to support you and make you feel as safe as possible during this time. Thanks for sticking with me during that entire video and all of that information. I truly am so grateful to everyone who has sent me encouragement, to everyone who has walked this path before me and has helped guide me during a really scary and unknown time. I feel like my healing journey is just starting now, but I promise if you are in the middle of it or if it's upcoming for you, you will get there too. You have people cheering you on. And please check out that resource guide and feel free to stick around for more videos to come. Thanks again for being here, and I'll talk to you soon.